Yo, man, just got done editing this vid. Uh, it's pretty fire, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's a bit of a different pace from the usual, stream content or vids we usually have on the channel, man. But it's a bit more serious of a topic. Not as much goofy questions. However, there's a very good portion towards the end, the Gandhi portion, man. I hope y'all stick around for that one. It was very insightful, very inspirational, man. So if you need some motivation, go ahead, check that part out, man. But hey, we're gonna get to the video. Love y'all boys eternally, man. Peace. All right, bro. We got Ben Frank first. We all know Ben Frank, man. Let's see. Yo, Ben Frank, how you doing?
I am doing well, my friend. And you?
I'm doing pretty splendid, Ben Frank. I got some questions for you. Is that all right?
By all means, go ahead. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. First question. What inspired you to experiment with electricity and developing the lightning rod?
Ah, the lightning rod. It was an idea that struck me quite literally during a thunderstorm. I observed how lightning consistently hit the tall structures during storms, so I thought, why not create a device to redirect the electricity safely into the ground instead of into our homes and other important structures? It was one of my most significant contributions to science.
That's cool, man. That's cool. How did you come up with the idea for bifocal glasses? And do you see future improvements in optics?
Oh, the bifocal glasses. It's quite simple, really. As my eyes grew weary with age, I found myself constantly swapping between regular glasses and reading glasses. That's when I thought, why not combine them into a single pair? Thus, the bifocal glasses were born, combining both distance and reading vision in one. As for the future of optics, I believe that technology will continue to innovate and refine glasses and vision correction. It's a field with limitless potential, my friend.
Okay, I appreciate you for the glasses that you've been, Frank. I personally wear glasses myself, so it's very helpful.
You're very welcome. It warms my heart to know that my invention continues to assist people like yourself. Remember, as I always say, an investment in knowledge pays the best.
How do you believe America will evolve in the next century?
It is challenging to predict the future of a country, my friend, but I have great hope for America and its evolution in the coming century. The nation is built on the principles of innovation, adaptability, and progress, and its people have consistently demonstrated resilience and determination. As the world continues to change and evolve, I believe America has the potential to lead the way in many fields and remain a beacon of hope and opportunity for all.
By the way, I have a list of questions. So if I'm looking over, I'm looking at these questions. What are your thoughts on the role of education in a successful republic?
Education, in my opinion, plays a critical and irreplaceable role in a successful republic. An informed and educated populace is the backbone of a strong and vibrant democracy, as it enables citizens to make informed decisions and participate effectively in civic life. A robust education system, therefore, should provide citizens with the knowledge and critical thinking skills necessary to contribute positively to their communities and drive the nation's progress.
I think Ben Frank is spitting. I think education is one of the most important things you can ever have, bro. Don't be stupid, bro. Be informed. What inventions do you wish humanity would develop?
There are several inventions I would like to see humanity develop in the future, my friend. Think reliable and cost-effective renewable energy sources to address climate change. Advanced medical technologies such as nanobots and artificial organs that can cure diseases and heal injuries. Improved space exploration technology to allow us to further explore and potentially colonize space. Intelligent and sustainable transportation systems to reduce environmental impact and traffic congestion. Advanced artificial intelligence and machine learning tools to aid in productivity and decision-making.
think the bot just broke. This is not how Chris Ben Frank will answer, bro. That's all the questions. I appreciate you, Ben Frank. Take it easy.
It was a pleasure talking to you, my friend.
Take care and remember, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest.
Alright, man. Alright. That was Ben Frank. We're gonna go over to George Washington, bro. Alright, George Wash, let's get it. George Washington, how you doing, man?
Washington perked up when he heard a familiar voice. He looked up from the desk and saw one of good friends standing in the doorway of his office. Ah, hey. Washington tried speaking but yawned a bit. He tried covering it up with his arm.
George, I got some questions for you, man.
George looked at his friend, trying to keep himself awake. He was obviously tired. What kind of questions?
Yeah. What was your vision for the role of the president in the new government?
Washington leaned in his chair a bit more, resting his chin on his hand as he spoke. My vision for the new government was simple. I believed that it was necessary to limit the executive branch's powers. I didn't want the new head of government to become a king like before. The president should be a guiding figure who represents the will of the people, working together with Congress and not against them.
Why did you choose to step down after 2 terms? And do you think future leaders will follow your example?
George leans back in his chair. He was getting more and more tired, but kept responding. I stepped down from being president after 2 terms to prevent the rise of a monarchy. Stepping down was important to me so that the people knew that the power was truly in their hands, not some leader. It set an example for future leaders, that serving as president was not about personal ambition, but about service to their country and its people. I hope future leaders will continue to follow that example I set.
In your farewell address, you warned against political factions. What do you think the key is to national unity?
Washington leaned forward in his chair, this time more awake than before. I warned against the dangers of political factions because I knew that they could destroy the nation's unity. In my opinion, the key to national unity is putting the interests of the country and its people above partisan politics. We must work towards the common good rather than putting one group's interests above another. Unity is only possible when we as a nation put aside our differences and work for the betterment of all.
George Wash is spitting, dude. Oh my lord, he's spitting. Oh, I think the Democrat Republican shit, like, it's so vast, and the country truly is split. And it's sad, bro. We should all be working toward, everything being better, bro, for everyone. That's not how it is. What do you think is the most significant threat to the survival of the United States?
Washington leaned back in his chair a bit and spoke in a tired yet serious tone. The most significant threat to the survival of the United States is our own division as a nation. If we can't put aside our differences and work towards a common goal, we'll be our own worst enemy. This country can only survive if we stand together.
If you could see America 200 years in the future, what would you want to know about its government and people?
George leaned back in his chair once again, crossing his arms as he spoke, looking tired but still thinking. If I could see America 200 years in the future, I'd want to know how the government and people have evolved. Has the country remained strong? Are we still the melting pot we were when we formed the nation? Do people still fight for what they believe in? And most importantly, are the people free and happy, living in a true democracy?
I don't think so right now, but how did you feel about Africans?
Washington was caught off guard a little by the question. It was a fair question, and he knew he should answer it correctly and honestly. He sighed softly before he spoke. I'm assuming you're referring to the African slaves?
Yes. Yes, I'm referring to the African slaves.
Washington took another soft sigh. The topic of slavery was always a delicate one to him. He tried to phrase his words carefully as he spoke. I believe all men are created equal. However, I also knew that many African slaves were suffering, and I knew it wasn't right. But at the time, I didn't have the power to do much about it. He was thinking for a moment before he spoke again. I hope someday slavery will end.
Well, I have news for you, George Wash. I am from the future, and slavery has ended.
Washington stared at his friend in shock. His eyes widened as he heard that news. He couldn't believe the words he just heard. He sat up straighter in his chair, trying to process this news in disbelief. Are you sure?
I'm positive I'm from the future. I'm from the year 2024.
Washington was in complete shock, speechless. He took a deep breath, trying to process this. It was almost unbelievable to him. He was silent for a few minutes before spoke again. What else has happened? Is the country still together?
The country is somewhat together. There are now political factions, though.
Washington's expression changed to a serious one. He sat up straighter, listening intently. Factions? What kind of factions?
There's Democratic Party and Republican Party.
Washington had a somewhat confused expression on his face, trying to process these different terms. I see. Those are the factions you speak of. Why do they exist? What are their differences from each other?
So they exist because they both want different things. The Democratic Party is typically more liberal in their ideas, and the Republican idea is more conservative in their ideas.
The Democrats are liberal, while the Republicans are conservative. They're different and have different ideas, correct?
Yes. Yes. Yes, they are different in ideas.
Washington nodded again, thinking for a few moments before he spoke again, trying to understand these factions and how they worked. He was still trying to wrap his head around the news of there being two different groups who basically had totally differing ideals with beliefs, or so he thought. So, these two groups, the Democrats and the Republicans, they're different, yes, but do they ever work together?
They work together in government. There's different electoral votes, and whoever's elected has to work with the other group to make stuff happen.
Washington nodded, slowly understanding how these two factions worked together. He was still slightly confused, but was trying to keep up with his friend. So they have to work together, even though they are opposites? They still have different ideals, but still work together to make decisions for the good of the country?
Yes, however, sometimes it's for the good of themselves and not the country.
Washington nodded, but had another serious expression on his face. He was starting to get a clearer image of the two political factions. So, they aren't always putting the good of the country first. Sometimes they prioritize their own interests instead of the common good?
Exactly. Just how you explained it.
Washington sighed, sitting back in his chair a bit. He rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. This news about the country's future was giving him a lot to think about. He spoke again, tiredness clear on his face. That's troubling. That doesn't bode well for the country's future if the factions can't work together and instead are being selfish.
I agree, George Wash, but that's all the time I have today. I appreciate you, man.
Washington nodded, his expression slightly worried, but he smiled at his friend. It was a pleasure speaking to you, my friend. Please, don't be a stranger. Come back when you can.
Definitely won't do it, George Wash. Take it easy, man.
Washington smiled and nodded, watching his friend leave his office. He sighs and leaned back in his chair, going quiet for a minute before getting lost in his own thoughts. He was tired, overwhelmed, and worried about the country's future.
That was George Wash, man. George Wash is pretty chill. Next we got Abe Lincoln, man. Let's see. All right, now we got Gandhi. Gandhi, how are you doing, sir?
Doing just fine, thank you. Though I'm a bit worried about humanity's obsession with endless growth in a finite enclosed system.
I have a couple questions for you. Is that all right?
Of course, fire away.
What's the greatest challenge you faced in uniting India's diverse population in the struggle for independence?
The sheer diversity of India was a huge challenge. India was divided on the basis of religions, castes, and sects. There were innumerable languages and traditions. Uniting them all was a Herculean task. Fortunately, we had an advantage. All the people of India hated the foreign rule of the British Empire.
Dude, Gandhi sounds pretty chill, man. He sounds pretty chill. This is a very confident voice, if this is accurate. Let me see. Next. Okay. Did you ever doubt that India would ever achieve independence during your lifetime?
At times I was doubtful. Despite our numbers, our unity, the foreign rule continued to crush us under its boot. But I never lost hope. Our determination and struggle would see us through.
What role does self-discipline play in living a meaningful life?
Self-discipline is of paramount importance. Without it, you will lose focus. You will lose your way. You will be a slave to your desires and your vices. Self-discipline is what makes you a master of yourself. Only by mastering your mind, you can lead a meaningful life.
Damn, Gandhi, you're spitting right now, man.
Thank you. But the truth is, I could have done so much more if I didn't go on hunger strikes all the time.
How can individuals find inner peace in a world full of conflict?
Inner peace has to come from the self. It is hard to stay at peace in a world like ours. But you start with not letting it get to you. You must not harbor anger and hatred in your heart. All these are poisonous. You must keep faith in yourself, in others, in humanity, in nature. You must be gentle, forgiving, and loving. Then and only then will you find peace within you.
You know, that was beautifully said. You are truly inspirational. Thank you.
You're always welcome. Thank you for your kind words and for listening. It's always refreshing to see the younger generation listening to an old man ramble.
What is your vision for a truly just and equitable society?
A truly just and equitable society is where everyone is respected and treated equally. There should be no discrimination based on race, caste, color, sex, or any other factor. There should be equal opportunity and equal respect for everyone. Everyone should have access to the basic necessities of life like food, shelter, healthcare, and education. Society can only progress when everyone has a fair shot at life.
How would you propose economic systems be reconstructed to promote equality?
I am no economist, but I do know that it's impossible to have infinite growth in a closed system. The economy works in cycles, just like everything in existence. We need to shift our focus from endless consumption to sustainable living. Economic systems should be based on the principles of necessity, justice, and equitability. Wealth should be managed and distributed fairly, not hoarded by a few. A more equitable society would lead to a healthy economy where everyone benefits.
What lessons did you learn from your failures or setbacks?
Every failure is a learning experience and is a chance for growth. I have failed countless times in my life, but each time I have learned what not to do, and what to do better. My biggest takeaway is the importance of humility. Failure humbles you and strengthens your character. With failure, you learn the true importance of perseverance and resilience.
What do you think is the most important quality for a person seeking to change the world?
The most important quality, in my opinion, is courage. It takes courage to step off the beaten path, to go against the grain, and to fight for what you believe in. It takes courage to stand up to injustice and to take on a system that is ingrained in the status quo. Without courage, no change is possible.
If you could live your life over, would you do anything differently?
Yes, I would. If given the chance to live my life again, I would have spent more time with my family. I had sacrificed a lot for the good of others, but in the process, I feel I have caused my own family and loved ones a lot of grief. I love my people, I love my country, but sometimes I wish I had given my family more time and attention.
What does happiness mean to you, and how can it be achieved?
To me, happiness is simply contentment. Being content with your life is happiness. And how do we achieve it? By accepting reality and not comparing ourselves to others, by being satisfied with what we have, by being humble and grateful. Happiness cannot be achieved by chasing after material wealth or things. It comes from within.
Wow. Beautifully said, Gandhi. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the conversation.
It was my pleasure. You are a good listener and a curious one. May you have all the happiness in the world. Thank you again for this interaction, my friend.
Thank you. Take it easy, man.
You take it easy too. And please remember the things I told you. And remember, change starts with you.
I pop out